Hello, it's Dr. Donna, and welcome to another episode of my podcast, Soul Talk and Psychic Advice. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most misunderstood attachment styles. That is the fearful avoidant attachment, sometimes called disorganized attachment. So, this is different from the other avoidant attachment style. This attachment style can feel incredibly confusing because it often contains two opposite desires happening at the same time. So that is a difference from the other avoidant attachment style. This is fearful avoidant attachment style. So you desperately want connection when you're a fearful avoidant. You want to be seen. You want love. You want someone to choose you. And yet, when love gets close, something inside you becomes afraid. You may pull away, you may shut down, you may question the relationship, you may suddenly need space, you may feel trapped, overwhelmed, or unsafe. Then the distance happens. You long for connection again. It's a painful cycle that leaves many people asking, what's wrong with me? So I'm doing this one in the first person. When I did the other avoidance style, I did it as if you're dating someone who's avoidant. But this one's in the first person because I do come across a lot of people who want relationships. They believe they're ready, but they are fearful avoidance. They may not know it, but they are. And then you ask yourself, why can't I just enjoy a healthy relationship? Why do I keep sabotaging something I want? If this sounds familiar, today's episode is for you. Because fearful avoidant attachment isn't a character flaw. It's not a sign that you're broken. It's often the result of the nervous system that learned early in life that love and danger exist together. Today we're going to explore what fearful avoidant attachment is, where it comes from, how it shows up in relationships, and most importantly, how healing happens. So we're going to, discuss this together because a lot of people don't realize that they are a fearful avoidant. So what is fearful avoidant attachment? Fearful avoidant attachment is often considered the most complex attachment style. Unlike anxious attachment, which primarily fears abandonment, or avoidant attachment, which primarily fears dependence, fearful avoidant attachment fears both. You fear being left, and you fear being trapped. You fear being alone, and you fear being too close. You crave intimacy, and you fear intimacy. You see this? You see how it's both ways for the fearful avoidant? This creates an exhausting internal conflict. Part of you is reaching for connection, and part of you is running from it. And so this isn't about judgment, it's about recognizing what's going on. This can create tremendous confusion because your feelings seem contradictory. One day you're certain someone is your person. The next day you're questioning everything. One day you're longing for closeness. The next day you're emotionally shutting down. It often feels like your heart and nervous system are pulling in opposite directions. And I see this a lot, and a lot of times people don't recognize this is what's going on with them because, the fearful avoidant really does want a relationship. They just don't understand why it's a struggle for them. Where does fearful avoidant attachment come from? Fearful avoidant attachment often develops in environments where love was inconsistent, unpredictable, frightening, or emotionally unsafe. The people you needed for comfort may have also been the source of fear. For example, a parent who was loving one day and explosive the next. A caregiver who provided support but also criticism. Growing up around addiction, experiencing emotional neglect, living in a home with conflict or instability, experiencing trauma, abuse, or abandonment. The child's nervous system receives a confusing message. The person I need for safety is also someone I don't feel safe with. This creates a profound internal dilemma. The child cannot stop needing connection, but the connection doesn't feel safe. That pattern often follows them into adulthood. As adults, they may deeply desire intimacy while simultaneously experiencing fear whenever it arrives. And sometimes these people move from partner to partner to partner, not knowing what's going on, and that they're sabotaging. They find that there are justifiable reasons for the sabotage. So it creates a lot of problems in adulthood with relationships and maintaining one, and sadly a lot of fearful avoidance, they will see it as the other party having the problem and not seeing that they are fearful avoidant. A lot of people just don't know how to recognize it. And we live in a society that says, oh, if it doesn't feel good, just leave. If there's one bad moment in the relationship, it's toxic, it's dysfunctional, you're going to get abused, leave. So there's a lot of support for fearful avoidant behavior in society. Of course, you don't stay when it's abusive, but sometimes you got to stick out at some tough moments too. But the triggers come up for the fearful avoidant, and they don't understand that they're being triggered. They just go, this is bad, like it was when I was younger, but they're not putting two and two together that it's a trigger. And so they just run to get to a safe place, and then it's all alone. I'm all alone. I don't want to be alone. I want a partner. And a lot of times, fearful avoidance will sabotage a relationship, and they're like, I want this person back. And it's sometimes too late because the other party is like, no, this is too hard. This is too much. And so there's a lot of loss for the fearful avoidant. The core belief: I want love, but love feels unsafe. Every attachment style has a core belief. For fearful avoidant attachment, the belief is often, I want love, but love feels unsafe. This belief influences everything. You may find yourself expecting betrayal, waiting for rejection, anticipating disappointment, questioning good relationships. I have people say all the time, it's too good, something's got to go wrong. They say, why does something have to go wrong? They go, it always does. Does it really? Distrusting kindness. A lot of people think, okay, if you're kind, what's your motive? That's what happens often with the fearful avoidant. They're too nice, something's going to go wrong. Feeling suspicious when someone treats you well. You may even feel calmer in chaotic relationships because chaos feels familiar. Yes. And healthy love can feel unfamiliar, and sometimes unfamiliar feels dangerous. So healthy can feel dangerous for the fearful avoidant. This doesn't mean you consciously want unhealthy relationships. It means your nervous system recognizes what it has experienced before. Familiarity and safety are not always the same thing. Oh, let's talk about the push-pull. If you've been with someone who does a lot of push-pull, they may be a fearful avoidant. Or maybe you've done the push-pull. Remember, no judgment here. We're just trying to understand ourselves so that when we understand ourselves, we can make different choices and go get the healing that's needed. The push-pull dynamic. One of the hallmarks of fearful avoidant attachment is the push-pull cycle. You pull someone close, you feel connected, you feel hopeful. Then vulnerability increases. That's why people do good in the beginning of the relationship and they can't sustain it. They start to run and sabotage as, it gets deeper because the vulnerability has increased. The relationship becomes more real. Your nervous system becomes activated. Suddenly, you notice flaws. You need space. You question the relationship. You withdraw emotionally. Then the other person pulls away. Now abandonment fears become activated. You miss them, you want connection again, you move closer, and the cycle repeats. This can become incredibly painful for both partners in the relationship. Many fearful, avoidant individuals describe feeling trapped inside this pattern. They know what they're doing. Yeah, they know. They don't want to do it, but their nervous system reacts before their conscious mind can intervene. And that's where the problem is. Common signs of fearful, avoidant attachment. So listen to this part and see if it resonates. You may relate to fearful, avoidant attachment if you fall in love quickly but become afraid when relationships deepen. This is when people start ghosting. When things get deep, they just disappear, they're out. You struggle to trust people even when they've earned it. You frequently second guess relationships. You can't feel good in it. You have intense fears of rejection. Every little thing. Are they going to leave me? Is this over? They haven't called in an hour. And I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. Some people, if they don't hear from their partner within an hour, they think something's wrong. They don't think the partner's busy or taking care of something or working. They think this is the end. The person doesn't want me anymore. Especially if the person's been able to respond quicker before this. That's what happens. You have such intense fears of rejection. You also fear losing your independence. You feel emotionally overwhelmed by closeness. You attract emotionally unavailable partners. You just do. When people go, why am I attracting emotionally unavailable people? You have to go in deep and ask yourself why. You push people away when you need them the most. You feel confused about what you actually want. You alternate between pursuing and withdrawing. Many people with this attachment style spend years feeling misunderstood. They are often told that they are too much and not enough at the same time. Too emotional, too distant, too needy, too independent. The truth is that they are often carrying unresolved attachment wounds that need healing. That's really what's going on. And, they say if we don't address our issues, our relationships will. That is the biggest truth, is that your relationships will address any unhealed stuff that you have. And until you address it, you won't have the relationship that you want. And all this stuff on social media that says somebody will love you enough and that will heal all your wounds, it just isn't so. Especially if you are an avoidant or a fearful avoidant or anxious or whatever, right? If you're anything other than secure and attached, it's not so. Somebody can't love you enough because you'll be suspicious of it. You'll pull away. It won't feel normal. It just won't. So we have to stop with all this fantasy stuff and get real and get honest that we have to face ourselves. And yes, you want someone to love you as you're going through the healing process, but their love alone isn't going to heal it. You have to do therapy. You have to figure this out if you want the life that you want. And it's going to be painful and it's going to bring up things that you buried to survive. We all have buried some stuff. If people say they haven't, it's not so. Our subconscious is a layer of onions, more layers than an onion. And there is stuff in there. And there is stuff that we don't think about on a daily basis, but it will come up, And so your relationships will address your issues first and foremost. And your relationships are based on the level of healing that you have done. Period. And the story cannot be argued. It's just fact. And all of us have needed to do some work. It doesn't make us broken. It doesn't make us wrong. It just means that we've been through some things that we have to heal. Let's talk about fearful, avoidant attachment and the nervous system. As someone who teaches nervous system regulation, I want to emphasize something important. Fearful avoidant attachment is not simply a mindset problem, it's a nervous system problem. Your body learned that connection could be dangerous. Therefore, closeness triggers survival responses. You may experience racing thoughts, tension in the chest, difficulty sleeping, emotional numbness, hypervigilance, the urge to flee, and the urge to cling. That is why healing attachment wounds often requires more than positive thinking or just somebody loving you. Your body needs new experiences of safety. Your nervous system needs evidence that connection can exist without danger. How fearful avoidant attachment shows up for empaths, healers, and spiritually sensitive people. And a lot of us who are empaths and have these psychic gifts, we have this stuff. So if somebody's walking around as I'm spiritual, I'm perfect, I'm all knowing, all healing, not if they haven't gone to therapy, and still we're never perfect and we're never perfectly healed. There's always work to do. For empaths, psychics, and highly sensitive people, fearful avoidant attachment can be especially confusing. You may be incredibly intuitive about other people's emotions. You may sense energy easily. You may feel deeply connected spiritually. Yet relationships still feel challenging. Sometimes people use spirituality as a way to avoid vulnerability. Often they do. They stay in analysis instead of intimacy. They read energy instead of having conversations. Stop reading people's energy and talk to them. They seek signs from the universe instead of expressing their needs. Healing requires bringing the same compassion you offer others back to yourself. The goal is not becoming more intuitive. The goal is becoming safer in connection. I will tell you a secret about a lot of us healers, empaths, and sensitive people. We often struggle in relationships and we have to do a lot of work because it is complicated because of our gifts and because of the trauma that we went through that made us empaths. And it gets messy. It really does. And it's nothing to be ashamed about. It just means start doing the work to fix it. Healing fearful avoidant attachment. The beautiful news is that attachment styles can change. Healing is possible. Number one, build safety within yourself. Healing begins by creating internal safety. Practice noticing when your nervous system is activated. Then pause, breathe, ground, remind yourself, I am safe in the moment. Slow relationships down. People want to go fast. They just want to get to the good stuff and look great to everybody on social media. No, slow it down so it can last and so you can build a solid foundation. Fearful, avoidant individuals often swing between intensity and withdrawal. Allow relationships to unfold gradually. Consistency is more important than intensity. Number three, learn to tolerate vulnerability. This is how you start winning in life. Vulnerability often feels threatening. Start small. Share feelings. Ask for support. Express needs. Allow yourself to be seen. Separate past from present. Ask yourself, is this person unsafe or is this an old wound being activated? Really sit with this. Don't go, yeah, I buried it, I moved on, I'm okay, I got over that. Stop that stuff because that isn't what happened. It's still activated and present in your life. That question alone can create tremendous awareness. 5. Heal the nervous system. Somatic work, EFT, breath work, trauma healing, mindfulness, body-based practices can help your system learn that connection is no longer dangerous. And a lot of therapists do these techniques, and a lot of coaches do these techniques. Start doing the work and set yourself free. Stop looking for the right person is going to make me feel safe. Not if you have an activated nervous system and unhealed trauma, the right person can't make you feel safe because you won't be able to recognize what they're doing. Especially if you're fearful, avoidant, you just won't recognize it. I'm going to close this out. I know this is a sensitive topic because in society we point our fingers and look at what other people are doing wrong. And it's hard to look at ourselves and say, I need to do work, I need to change. And we start seeing it as an attack on us when it's not an attack, it's an opportunity to set ourselves free. I remember when I first started doing this work, I tiptoed around people and I wanted to say things carefully because I didn't want to hurt them or trigger them. And I still triggered some people because we have spent too much time in society bearing the things that have hurt us and just blaming or projecting outward when we need to sit with ourselves. That's where our power is. Fixing ourselves. When we do our work, we can attract better. Because if you're a fearful avoidant, you're going to attract emotionally unavailable people. And you can't get what you want. So the work always starts with ourselves versus telling other people to get their shit together. And if you can do that, you experience empowerment and freedom. So as I continue to close this out, if you recognize yourself in today's episode, I want you to know something. You're not difficult to love. You're not even broken. You're not too much. Your nervous system adapted to experiences that taught you that love could be painful. Those adaptations were protective. They helped you survive. But survival is different from thriving. Healing happens when your body learns what your heart has always wanted to believe, that connection can be safe, that intimacy does not require self-abandonment, that boundaries and closeness can exist. They can coexist. Boundaries and closeness can coexist. And that trust can be built. And that love does not have to hurt to be real. The journey from fearful, avoidant attachment to secure attachment is not about becoming someone different. It's about helping your nervous system finally experience the safety it has been searching for all along. So I want to thank you for staying with me on this. I'm sure it triggered some people. Thank you for joining me today. And until next time, be gentle with yourself, honor your healing journey, trust your inner wisdom, and remember, you can want love and love can become safe. So again, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.